My name is George McDermott. I'm the dispatch supervisor for the North Arlington Police Department in North Arlington, New Jersey. I'm here to speak about the Safely Back Home program. I originally met the founder of this program, Paul Jetter, at a autism awareness game being played by the children with autism against the Lyndhurst Police Department. He had a small little setup in the corner, and during halftime, I went over and talked to him, and I had already had things set up in my town, but not as official, so to speak. I had a small forum for Alzheimer's and children that were known to run away with, special needs type circumstances. And getting together with Paul, we came up with a great idea to expand the application and to run with his ideas to try to help people out in the real world. We put the application together. We brought it to who is now retired, our chief, Lou Guillaume, and he was all for it. He was always all for anything that would help out the public. So we ultimately started out, and we had 8 senior citizens with no medical problems, right to dementia and Alzheimer's, as well as 5 other families with young children with autism at different degrees and levels. All sign up. We have all of their applications. In North Arlington, we work it on a case number as their ID number so that it's unique and can't be duplicated. And through that, we have the case hit with their pedigree information, which is all kept confidential. We scan the application into the case, so then it becomes a PDF. And should any department, if a child or an adult with special needs wanders away somewhere, whether it's in Florida, England, you name it, as long as there's an email address and internet capability for a computer, we can email them that information. Of course, the departments all, retain the right of discretion not to send it if they're not unsure of where the information is going to go. But generically, it would go to anybody who is a police or a law enforcement unit. It could be sent to cell phones, whoever the officer is, if they're on scene. The application would tell them who the individual is, their age, any other medical background, what their degree or deficiency is. We don't like to call them special needs, they just need special care. And that's what, we try to infer upon the officers when they do their training, so that they understand, eye contact, hesitation in speech, clothing colors. A lot of times the kids will carry, certain toys or certain things that are memorable to them that keep them comfortable. A PlayStation game in their pocket or a cell phone, something along that nature that calms them down and keeps them in their own mindset. Sometimes direct eye contact scares them or makes, heightens their anxiety. So we don't want the kids or the adults to be out of their person. And with the application, it'll tell you emergency contacts, where they're known to wander if we don't actually have a person but are looking for them. Autism, generally they tend to run towards water. They like pools, they like lakes, rivers. In the streets, they don't know any different between the sidewalk and the street. Regardless of people walking by or a car driving by, they're just going to go right through. Recently, in last fall, we had a 5-year-old autistic child cross a main street in our town and wound up in the park. In River Road, we have Chauncey River and Chauncey of the county park there. And to this child's luck, was not struck, was not injured, was found by an off-duty Lyndhurst police officer who contacted our desk. And we had already had the information and application on file of this child. So we knew right away who they were, where they lived, who their parents were. We made contact, and for the 5 seconds that the mother took to walk to the room to get the child a shirt, the child was up and gone. So it can happen at any time to anyone, and this is why a program like this is very important and can be very successful if your department or any department chooses to utilize it. The applications are very easy to amend to your department, as well as being sent and edited. And any assistance you need, I'm more than happy to take care of doing it with Paul's help. I think, going forward, this is going to run, very well out there. The amount of children with special needs or that need special care, as well as the young adults and senior citizens who do come down with, the mental incapacities. These are very important. The clothing itself, through Paul's idea, was to allow them to submit 6 pieces of clothing, whether it be a jacket, a shirt, a backpack, or whatever the child or person normally carries or wears. And on the sleeve or on the back, they would imprint the Safely Back Home logo with an ID number and a phone number. Ideally, the phone number should be the police department or law enforcement number, because you don't want to give out your home number. And then what they would do is they would call whatever department's number it is, and ours for North Arlington would be 201-991-4400. They would get the dispatcher and they would tell them that I have this person with his shirt on and it has a ID number. And they would say the ID number would be 16-ABC123. We would look that up in our CAD system, and we would be able to advise, listen, we have this, we have an officer coming to you, just try to remain calm. Try to remain calm and to, just make sure you keep an eye on the person. And then once law enforcement gets there, we give them all of the information. And whether it be from our town or somebody else's town, it makes the process of getting these people back home safely a lot quicker. And on the police aspect of it and law enforcement, it saves money in overtime, saves money in manpower. Because if you don't have something like this, you have officers on scene trying to figure out names, trying to figure out where they came from, calling people to see if they know this person, setting up, papers or sending out statewide teletypes. A system like this alleviates all of that work down to, roughly a half an hour, if that, as opposed to 2, 3, 4, 5 hours if you're unlucky and the child or the person doesn't really talk. So I think that this program is successful now, but can be much more successful when it expands out to other towns. When the call comes through, the call will come through however means, a civilian, a professional. It could be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse. It could be anybody just walking by, a passerby. They would call. Obviously, we're a police department, so we would answer as such. And they would, if they would indicate to us, say, I have so-and-so person here with a patch on their shirt that says Safely Back Home, and they seem to be disoriented or lost. We would inquire as number one what their location was, so that immediately we could contact that department. We would ask for that number, that individual specific number, which would allow us to access our records. And then at that point, we would be in communication with the other town, whether they're in California, Maine, Florida, Texas, anywhere in the world. Ultimately, that can receive email, we can send it. And it would be a PDF, so it's not, we can send it where they're not going to be able to doctor the document or anything like that, but, it's just a secure document. And with the information that you described, what makes them comfortable, the special words or a phrase to say to them that would keep them calm and give them a sense of being relaxed and knowing that, somebody understood them already, is something that's very, very important to them. That could be within seconds of this individual really going into a fit or having, an adverse reaction to your attempt to try to help them, which is something that this application and this process tries to alleviate. So you send that to their email, and their department can forward it right to their personal computers in their cars. And the majority of towns and vehicles, police vehicles, do have laptops. So we have a police-oriented computer system in our vehicles, and we can send messages, we can send case numbers, we can send personal information that way. The imprint on the shirt shows the rescuer, so to speak, whether it be police, fire, EMS, or whomever. Lets them know that it's a flag. It's an automatic flag to say, hey, there may be something, going on, or there may be some reason why they have this. And if they already have the application, they already have the person's information, now as they approach, their mindset changes from somebody who seems to be overexcited, anxious, reaching in their pockets, where in this day and age, the officer's hand may be on his weapon to protect himself and other civilians around, to, I know this person has autism, or I know this person has dementia. There's a couple of phrases that I can use. It tells them where they like to walk to, whether or not eye contact, direct eye contact, my tone of voice, certain things that I say will either incite them or make them feel more relaxed. They would approach utilizing all of their safety measures that they're trained to do. And by seeing this, this icon is what it is, this print on the shirt, they're going to know that there's an issue, because the case numbers for police departments are generic with a year and a case number. And when they see, safely back home with the emblem, a ID number, and then it says please call, and you'll have NAPD, Rutherford PD, New Milford PD, right. Any agency that has agreed to do this program, then they'll know that there's information available that's going to help them. And the radio is a very powerful tool. They call it in, and now they know that there's a different way to act. They may not know how it is, but they would know to kind of, not be so aggressive or aggressively approaching the individual, but, try to be as calm as possible until they get more information and know how this individual acts, and, the keys to, what would make them feel comfortable. Having "If I Appear Lost" on that logo would be very beneficial to everybody, because that's a second flag that would say, okay, if I appear lost, you're visibly seeing the individual looking disoriented and or out of place based upon where they are and what they're doing. And that right away tells them that, I have this information. Let me find out why. Right. Let me find out who they are. Obviously there's a phone number and a number for them. Let me call, let me find out what's happening, and the end result hopefully will be positive, because it'll be less time they're away from their family and out of their comfort zone.
Gotcha. I think we got it. I mean, there's, as far as where we wanted to go beyond that, George, where else do you think we want to go beyond that? I mean, you've covered how the people enroll. Well, actually, we didn't say, we could probably say something to the fact they can enroll in person at the police departments, or they can enroll online.
Yeah, I mean, the enrollment right now is I won't say limited, but it's being kind of held back a bit based upon technology and the advancements. The police departments, health departments of the local towns that are running it right now are good places to start. In the future, we plan on putting it on the social media accounts, where the applications ultimately will be able to be filled out and submitted and forwarded automatically to the department or town that you live in. And by doing that, it takes a lot of time and manpower hours out of, and ultimately wasting paper. You can do it and click online and get it done a lot quicker than you do writing it. And more times than not, when you go to fill out an application, sometimes you don't have all that information. When you're at home, you have the availability to be able to get the information you need and to utilize that to fill out the application more appropriately.